I just want to open with a few comments and reflections on the past week here in British Columbia. All of us, of course, have been shocked to see the images of people fleeing the wildfires now raging in Lytton, the Fraser Canyon, and beyond. And of course, our primary concern is always to protect lives, to ensure that we're doing everything we can to evacuate safely and to fight the fires at the same time. I want to particularly thank the Mayor of Lytton, Jan Polderman, who was on the ground smelling smoke and then seeing within minutes his town engulfed in flames. The leadership of Councillor John Hogan of the Lytton First Nations also needs to be acknowledged at this time, as the members of his nation have been scattered in various directions to find safety. We're working together to make sure that everyone can coordinate the efforts of bringing people back together. Of course, I always want to thank the firefighters who are bravely fighting fires all across British Columbia, many of them from Lytton, who do not know at this moment what's happening in their community, what's happening to their homes. And to those individuals, my heart goes out to them. You have the support of all British Columbians as we enter into a very early and very intense fire season here in British Columbia. To all of those who provided food and shelter so far, in Lytton, in Merritt, in Boston Bar, Chilliwack, Kamloops, and many other communities, I want to thank you. There's nothing more Canadian in my mind than offering help and assistance when our neighbors need it. Our thoughts are with those who have been evacuated. I know how deeply disconcerting and disorienting it can be to be taken from your homes in a moment's notice, as was the case in Lytton, without being aware of what's happening to your neighbors and your friends. And of course, Lytton has had overlapping challenges in the past number of days. We can never forget that we are in still a global pandemic, but we have had record heat as a result of a heat dome. 3 consecutive days of the highest recorded temperatures in Canadian history all happened in Lytton this week. And of course, to have a heat wave and then a horrific fire is just so troubling and so challenging for the people in the community. My heart goes out to them. I spoke with the mayor this morning, and again, the resilience of British Columbians, the resilience of those who live in rural BC and face the threats of fires on an annual basis when it comes so close to home, and in fact, when it completely eliminates your main street. Nothing is more important than holding together and having all British Columbians thinking and being concerned, and also offering the help that we can to make sure that we all get through this together. There is an incident management team on the ground supporting emergency efforts, and of course, Pater and Minister Farnworth will be able to answer questions around that. The fire origin and cause investigations are underway. We do not yet know what started the fire in Lytton. I think it's important to separate the wildfire that was being battled to the southeast of Lytton and the fire that engulfed the city. These are 2 separate fires. There was little or no time to warn the community. In fact, it was the mayor himself that got the first whiff of challenge, and within minutes, as he said to me this morning, within minutes, the city was engulfed. So again, I lift my hands to all of those who moved so rapidly to get to safety. Following the directions of local governments and first responders is absolutely critical in situations like this. And I encourage all British Columbians, as we continue to go through what will be a hot, dry summer, to pay attention. Make sure when you hear a public service announcement that you understand that it could be directly affecting you. Don't change the dial on your radio. Listen to what's going on in your community. When the smoke clears in Lytton, of course, the province will be there to rebuild. I made that commitment to the mayor today, and I make that commitment to those who are in emergency centres around the region today. Your government will be there, and I had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister this morning, and he too reinforced the federal government's desire to be there to help the people of Lytton specifically, and of course to offer any services British Columbia needs as we go through the next number of weeks and potentially months of intense firefighting. And it's always grateful. I'm always grateful to have the collaboration of the federal government. I regret to say that this is the 3rd of 5 years of horrific fires in my time in this job, and to have a federal government that has been able to learn with us on how we do our best to adapt to what is a climate change environment where we are going to see increasing high temperatures for long periods of time, increasingly intense fire seasons. to have two orders of government working with Indigenous peoples, working with local governments to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect people is a great comfort to me. And I realize that these times of insecurity and uncertainty, that's little comfort, but I believe all British Columbians, indeed all Canadians, are well served when we all work together to protect people in times of crisis. In the last 24 hours, 62 new fires have started in British Columbia. Deputy Minister Manwaring will talk in more detail about what that means when the questions start. 29,000 lightning strikes in the past 24 hours. And although we've seen a reduction in heat here on the coast, it is still intensely hot as you get into Kamloops and into the Rockies, and then, of course, into Alberta, where the heat will be moving. I cannot stress enough how extreme the fire risk is at this time in almost every part of British Columbia. And I urge British Columbians to listen carefully to officials in your communities and follow those directions as best you can. Firefighters are putting their lives on the line to protect us. Let's not add to their frustration. Let's not add to their challenges by being the result of a fire starting. We can't do anything about lightning strikes, but we can do something about our personal behavior, and I urge all British Columbians to be very cautious when they're out and about in the forests. There will be, of course, closures in many areas, certainly around Lillooet right now. There will be no backcountry activity. There will be no economic activity. We want people to stay out of the woods until we get to a place where we see more precipitation and a better opportunity to get back to normal behavior. Lastly, I just want to say how much gratitude I have for Emergency Management BC, for the BC Wildfire Service, who prepare annually for these events that we are going into, and most graphically demonstrated by the events in Lytton over the past 24 hours. But this is an annual event for many people, and we have the most skilled and prepared firefighters in the country. We have asked for more capacity, more resources from across the country, but this is a challenging time. We're hopeful that many of those who we have helped in the past will be there to help us today. The requests have been made. As I said, the federal government, the Prime Minister stands ready to send in resources, whether it be the Canadian military or others, to help, and it's a great comfort to know that we're all going to be working on this together. And with that, I want to thank you for your time, and I'll pass it on to Minister Farnworth in Vancouver, and he'll give us a breakdown of how Emergency Management BC is dealing with evacuations, and then we can get into questions for Deputy Minister Manwaring and others.
Thank you, Premier. I'm Mike Farnworth. Good afternoon, the Solicitor General, Minister of Public Safety, and I'm speaking to you today from the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. This has been a very difficult day, and the days ahead are going to continue to challenge us. There are several fires of note burning through the province, putting our communities at risk. Of these fires, the one affecting Lytton and surrounding areas has been catastrophic for that community. The fire started yesterday, and the cause is under investigation. This fire moved aggressively and continues to do so, burning through the extreme conditions that have resulted from the record heat in the area. Last night, around 1,000 people were evacuated with support from the Thompson-Nicola Regional District, Emergency Management BC, and the RCMP. I want to commend the work of the Mounties and others involved in the evacuation, putting themselves at great risk to help move residents out quickly. The Lytton Fire Department has been supported in their structural protection efforts by the Office of the Fire Commissioner, the BC Wildfire Service, and fire departments in the surrounding areas, from Boston Bar, Spence's Bridge, Ashcroft, and Merritt. Despite these brave efforts, I have reports that most homes and structures in the village, as well as the ambulance station and the RCMP detachment, have been lost. I also understand that some residents have not been accounted for, and their location is currently being investigated by the RCMP. My condolences to the entire community. We are here to support. Because of the urgency of this evacuation, many residents left the area in various directions and are now in Lillooet, Ashcroft, Spence's Bridge, Merritt, 100 Mile House, Kamloops, and several other communities. Evacuee reception centers have been established in communities such as Kamloops, Chilliwack, Kelowna, and Merritt. More locations are currently being established. Given the widespread areas to which people have evacuated from the fire in Lytton and others, many are being identified and registered through the online evacuee registration tool. Any evacuee requiring immediate assistance with accommodations, food, medical, or prescription support should seek it at a local emergency social services reception center. But if you have been evacuated, whether or not you need support, register right away at the ess.gov.bc.ca so that we know where you are and that you are safe. We've faced enormous challenges with wildfires in the last few years, and this year is proving no different. As the Premier noted, the most important that the public can do is to prepare yourself and your family for any potential fires in your areas and avoid any and all activity that may result in a wildfire. Thank you.